think we can all agree that making decisions can be really tough, especially when so much is on the line. I see this a lot being on this other side of supporting people in their career journeys, entrepreneurship journeys, is that when we get to a certain place, having attained a certain goal or trajectory, it can get a little bit more tricky making a decision because, first of all, you don't want to lose what you've built so far. And you're not sure, if I make this decision, will it unravel everything I've done? What if this decision is wrong and then everything that I've worked so far on falls apart? And so we can find ourselves sitting on something for months, maybe years, and not making a shift or a change that can actually grow us further. And today I want to share a story with you. I worked with Lizette in one of my programs that I'm actually now rolling into being part of the Baobab membership. And when I started working with Lizette, she was in a career place where she was considering whether she should go back to school, continue down an entrepreneurship journey, whether she should stay in her 9 to 5 and find ways to grow through that. And she was in a very good place and she didn't want to really mess up this opportunity if the path she chooses doesn't really bring the results that she wants. She'd convinced herself she was just going to stay where she was for a year and then she was going to move on. And when we started working together, it was 4 years later that she had just remained in the same place of just going around in circles, trying to find an outlet and not being able to find it. If you can relate to that, let me know in the comment section. And how we worked through that is that focusing more on how we are being can ease up the stress of making that decision and allow us to make decisions much more quickly. Because something that she wasn't able to make a decision on in 4 years, she found herself being able to make a decision on in 3 months. Sometimes I always think it must be easy on those people who just go like, I think that's the only way that's possible, and they just go with one option. But when we are creatives, we just see so many opportunities and sometimes that can be really paralyzing. So if you're in your business and you've grown to a certain place and you are now thinking, I don't really want to make this change, I don't want to really make this pivot, I don't want to introduce this new concept that I've been thinking of, it can keep you stuck. It can actually eventually start to suck the joy out of the thing you're doing because there's no more evolving happening. None of us are meant to stay stagnant in one way or one way of thinking or one way of being. We're supposed to evolve. And if there's areas in our life that are evolving and others that are staying stagnant, this stagnant place will just bring the mood and the excitement of life really low. So I hope you enjoy the conversation I am having with Lizette, and hopefully it will give you something to reflect on in your own journey. Let me know in the comment section the areas that stand out for you the most. Now let's go into Lizette's story.
My name's Lissette, and right now I am a lead lab technician. I work mainly in an analytical lab. It's been a bit over 4 years now. I think I'm
Yeah.
gonna go towards 5 this year.
5 years in the same job and you've committed.
Yeah.
Because usually we are like job hoppers, so we never really stick around.
Luckily, though, in this position, like this job, I have kind of moved to different positions, which is why probably I've lasted longer than I probably would have if I would have stayed in the same exact position.
When we started working together, when you joined the mindset program, I think this was almost like 3 months ago now, right? So take me to what was your biggest struggle then?
I guess I struggled with feeling stuck and wanting to do something. Like my main thing in the back of my mind was go to school, but I would also play with ideas or, do this business or do this over here or like do rental properties. I would jump around in my mind like, oh, I could do all these different things. But in the back of my mind, I was still thinking, but you know what? I'll still go to school just, just in case.
As a backup.
As a backup, yeah. Like that was always like, I guess like the comfort zone would be going back to school.
Yeah.
But I always felt like stuck, like I couldn't move, like something was stopping me from like fully committing and for fully like I guess going towards a certain direction. And I wasn't sure why. I thought it was just I needed to maybe get better strategies or like research more.
More research. So why was school feeling like a safe option? What do you think that was?
I guess it's because I've excelled in school. I always felt like I was good at, studying. It was a very step-by-step kind of process. You study for the test, you pass the test, and then you repeat until, you graduate. And then, hey, look, I got a degree now. And I guess the comfort zone was thinking that, okay, once I have the title, everything else kind of like, I guess, works itself out. Jobs are going to come. It's going to be easy. And that's it. I don't have to worry about it too much.
But then when you thought about options of like, invest in real estate or all these other business ideas, that was just like,
It was way out there. Like, it required a lot more steps. But there were somewhat steps online. If you researched enough, you could find somebody who maybe has done it before, and then they give their experience.
so how long were you in that place of not committing?
Like, as when I was applying for jobs, I always had in the back of my mind, this is going to be a temporary position. Do it for a year to get the experience, then I'm going to go back to school. That was my mindset these past 4 going to 5 years. But I never went back to school because I guess something was always like stopping me from fully going that direction. And I thought it was just me being lazy versus maybe I don't really want to go back to school. Like, I didn't let that thought come into my mind because then it would make me feel like I'm quitting.
Yeah, you're quitting on the one certain thing you have. So what was it about the program that made you feel like this was what you needed at the time?
So, like watching your YouTube videos and like a lot of the stuff you were mentioning were like, wow, this really resonates with me. Because I was resonating so much with what you were saying when you offered the program, I'm like, something inside me is saying, you know what, just take the program. And especially since it was about the mindset and you kind of like broke it down, like all the things we're going to cover. And like, as you covered each topic, I'm like, I struggle with criticism of myself. I struggle with being too focused on like this image I have for myself. But just like you mentioning, I guess, the outline of what the program's going to be about. And I was like, each point you were talking about was like, I think I would benefit from learning about that.
Because I remember you jumped in right when the car opened.
Yeah.
I remember you were one of the first ones.
I put a timer on my phone. I'm like, okay, as soon as it opens, I want to like jump on it. And also before that, like you had done workshops.
Yes.
Should I? I'm like, no. But then I feel like every single time I didn't join the workshops, I'm like, I think I would have gotten a lot of benefit from it. Why didn't I do it? I didn't do the workshops and I regret it. Like, I've always known my mindset was off, but I thought it was just, just think more positively. And I'm like, I'm trying. Like, I knew the mindset was the issue, but that advice I was getting from people, I felt like I needed to go deeper. Like, how do I change my mindset? I don't know. Like, just thinking positively isn't working.
Yeah.
I mean, at first, I felt anxious, especially about these Zoom meetings, just because it's outside my comfort zone. It's not just me researching anonymously behind, my screen, in my room by myself. Like, somebody's seeing me, somebody knows my name. I'm committing to something and I'm accountable to somebody now. And that part was intimidating. Like, especially telling my story, the parts of me that I feel like I'm a little ashamed of, hey, I haven't done this yet, and telling somebody that instead of, I guess, showing up as, hey, I got everything together.
Because accountability is that, someone calls you out and says, hey, did you do what you said you're going to do for yourself? You made a commitment with yourself and they're holding you to that place. And what was that like?
There was one home assignment you gave me, which was, post a couple things online, like create something or like, like put some information out there and just post anything. And like before that Zoom meeting, I was really nervous because I think you asked me for 5 things or like, I don't know, you gave me a number. Yeah. And I'd only done like 2 posts. No, you asked me for like every day post something. Yeah. And I think I did like 3 days. And then the other days, I guess I was just procrastinating it. Yeah. So before the Zoom meeting, I'm like, oh goodness, like I'm gonna get called out. Like, oh, you didn't do every single day. You didn't post it. And then I came to the Zoom meetings and you're like, oh, great, you posted 3 times. I'm like, oh, wow, that wasn't that bad. Like, I guess like the expectation was like, oh, like it's going to be a bad meeting because I didn't do the 7 days the way I said I was going to do it. Just the fact that I guess I did something was good. And I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't think about it that way.
We are recovering perfectionists. We think we have to tick all the boxes for it to count. Even if you did that little step, every step led for you to be here. That shift started with those little things that you did.
I guess that's like where that internal critic comes in, where it's like, I'm criticizing myself, thinking like I should have done every single day. So I expect everybody else is going to be thinking the exact same thoughts.
It's almost like when you see a baby start walking, you don't go like, dang, you just crawled 1 crawl. That's it for today. You're never going to walk. I mean, We don't do that. In reality, we don't do that. In reality, we go like, oh my God, they walked the first step, because we know
Yeah.
with each practice, we know what's gonna come. Especially if you're a grown person. Okay, for a baby looking at another baby, I don't know what they're thinking, but I'm thinking for a grown up, you know that's what it takes. It takes a lot of getting up and falling over, but eventually you know they're gonna walk. That's always where I'm coming from. Because
Yeah.
I know this person, if they keep just committing to just one step, they're gonna get there. I can see it. And so
One
that's
of
why I
your
celebrate.
YouTube videos that I like enjoyed a lot was where you I think posted like I made what 100 subscribers
Yeah,
in
yeah,
how many months, and I'm like,
yeah.
huh, like this is interesting. And like knowing that you posted something like that, I was still saying, oh, she's gonna judge me for not like completing everything.
Because the fact that you committed to the process is what we celebrate. It's really so much like, look, I'm the type of person who makes this commitment and honors it. Therefore, I keep doing this thing. And it doesn't mean we keep doing it perfectly. I think that's why I always celebrate you.
I think you mentioned in the beginning, like I've spent money on my education. Like I think I've taken courses that like as of now I'm not gonna use anymore. So why can't I like I guess invest money into something that my gut's saying that I need to like I guess improve myself. I haven't been able to do it by myself. Like, and people say like, oh, you could work on your own mindset on your own. But I mean, it's been 4 years or probably longer, and I've been thinking these same negative thoughts. Like
Yeah.
I didn't have, I guess, the tools to, I guess, work on that.
That's the huge difference, because if we keep repeating the same cycles, then we have to recognize, not that I don't have the ability, I just don't have the right tools. So I know that you've experienced an incredible shift. Can you share a little bit what happened and what was that like when you saw that shift happen, or did you see it?
So I guess it was after like, doing a lot of the practices, like, being more aware, being more present, like in my daily life, I guess become more present. I stopped focusing, I guess, on like, oh, in the past, I should have done that. I should have done this. Or, oh, what am I going to be doing in the future? Like, I should be doing this. And like, let me plan it. Let me research so I know exactly what to expect for the future. Just being present, I started to notice, like, even in my own job, there's like a lot of opportunity here that I guess I didn't even consider because I was limited in a mindset that's like, oh, this is temporary. So I kind of like blocked myself from seeing any kind of potential.
Yeah.
And now being more present, I've noticed, I could study this at my job. And I guess I'm like more open to, I guess, opportunities that are present right now versus like focused on in the future. There's going to be an opportunity for me.
When we're thinking about goals, the problem is we can get so tunnel vision that we miss what's happening in the present moment, that it takes away the ability to pick up on cues that might actually be helpful. Things may be right here in our present moment that could take us to the future, but we're missing it because we keep waiting for this future state.
I was so focused on the future. I guess I had like in my mind planned, regardless of which direction, but there was like, I guess, a future me I was focused on. Now, I guess I'm more open to like, oh, look at this. I didn't notice that this was even available at my job. Like, I've been here for 5 years and I never knew that I could, study this new technique. I could be learning all this right now, but I'm not because I'm so focused on this future version of myself. I was completely avoiding like how to get there and just focused on like, hey, look, I'm there in the future. Like, it's gonna happen. I just, guess gotta jump into the future and just avoid the present. Like it's I guess that kind of made me decide, I'm gonna talk to my boss and ask him like, hey, like, is it possible for me to maybe take these kind of courses? Cause I want to learn more about this instrument. And he was excited, like, yeah, like any course you want to take, any course you find, like, let me know. And then we could discuss about you taking it. I'm like, wow, that was really easy. I assumed, hey, I got to go back to school and get a master's degree before I get to learn these things. And before I know how to do this stuff, I need the master's degrees to show that I know how to do them when I could just learn them right now.
Isn't that amazing? The
Yeah.
opportunities were always there. We miss them because we are just not focusing on the right things.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that as you're working through each week, that became clearer and clearer for you.
Yeah. And I think this specific week we were focused on the ego. And I think that's where it kind of like came, like, it kind of just like, oh, wow, like my ego is basically like student. Like that's part of like I guess my story is like, oh, I'm a student.
Yeah.
So the only way I was allowing myself to like find the future would be like I need to study, keep going the higher education route before I get to that future that I want. Like I am that kind of like structured person. So like being able to follow, I guess, a structure and having tools given to me and not just like getting overwhelmed by my own research, because you research all these things but then you research it and then you don't apply it. You're like, oh, I got this information, and just because you got the information I feel like, oh, now I know it, but no
That's
one's actually having me apply the information. And like just being in this program, it's like I'm applying it every single week and I'm getting feedback about what I'm doing. So it's not also like I'm by myself, because sometimes when you're alone you feel like either you got it, like, oh, I got it, I don't got to worry about applying it, or you feel like this isn't helpful because it's not giving you results right now.
Yeah. And it's that pushing
Yeah.
through, right? But that accountability you're talking about. And I could see you week by week getting lighter and lighter, especially for you. Like you looking back and say 3 4 years, you were stuck in this place. And if somebody had told you in the beginning, in 3 months, things could be completely different for you, what would you have said to them then?
I would have thought, it was like, look, I've been doing this for years. Like, it's going to take me at least another 3 years. Like, learn how to shift, my perspective and stuff like that.
Yeah, because it's a lifestyle, right? Not like I've ticked the box, I'm set for life. It's having the tools to continue to have that style of life that allows you to have the life that you've always dreamed of.
In 3 months, a lot can happen. And sometimes I think we feel like I'm not gonna, do this because it's like a 3-year commitment. Like I don't like I have to do something for, 3 years and it's gonna take too long to get there. I'm not even gonna try.
You're making a good point that most of the time we're thinking, goodness, I think it will take too long.
Yeah.
And therefore, it's not worth me trying right now. I think I just need to wait until I'm in a perfect place to commit to. I think we always wait for this perfect timing. We feel like it's going to get to a perfect place when I feel ready to commit to like the long haul for maybe the next 3 years. So last week we did a workshop and one person said, I reached out and I did this one step and I have my first gig.
Oh, wow.
It's just and it was within 3 days. 3 days for something they've just been sitting on.
I feel like perfectionists, we're always told like, oh, stop being so perfectionist, like, oh, just do it, or like things like that, like very short to the point, like just do it, stop being a perfectionist, it's fine. It's harder to do that when you don't have the tools of like but how?
Yes.
How does somebody just get out of their mind and just do things? And like when you see other people do it, you feel like, oh, it's so easy, but it's not easy for me. But then once you start building up on, I guess, the basics, and then like it keeps on piling on itself, you're like, okay, like I'm able to do it too.
Yeah. It's possible for all of us. We're just lacking sometimes the know-how. Like, how do I get to be or to exist in that place where that's possible? Because sometimes the fear you can feel the fear in your body and it feels so real that you're not able to make that conscious decision to press on. I was seeing you week by week able to sit with that discomfort, using your tools, utilizing them and building on them, building blocks until you are able to go like, this is almost now becoming second nature for me to do these things. Whereas in the beginning, it was just like looping. I remember, I think we did that session. We were like, okay, so if we have to wait for to know completely before we make a decision, and we can make a decision until we know completely, where are we coming off this loop? Because we're going to be stuck in this loop forever.
Like just hearing you say it that day was like, like, yeah, that's what I've been doing. I've just been repeating in this loop and not getting out, because every single time like, oh, but I need more research, I need to know more, I can't do it completely because I don't know enough. And then just keeps on going.
Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed that conversation. I'm so glad you stayed this far. Let me know in the comment section, what was your biggest takeaway? What is the thing that you can work on in your life, in your business, that can help you move along and make decisions a little bit faster? Remember to focus on being than doing. And I'll see you in the next one.